This is Celia Cruz, one of Cuba's most distinguished singers of all time. She remains in history as the queen of salsa. When singing, her trademark is to shout the word azúcar on stage. Azúcar means sugar in Spanish. This line was born in 1964 in a Miami restaurant. The waiter asked Celia if she wanted some sugar in her coffee, to which she responded, "With sugar, boy, with sugar. We Cubans drink our coffee very sweet." From that point on, she decided to implement this phrase in her performances, and people loved it. On one hand, azúcar is a remembrance of all enslaved Africans who worked on Cuban sugar plantations. On the other hand, this word is a nod to Hispanic culture and the ability to appreciate the sweetness of life. So, who is considered Hispanic exactly? According to Cambridge Dictionary, the term Hispanic refers to a person with an ancestry from a Spanish-speaking country. This means that most people from Spain, Mexico, Central and South America are Hispanic. Those of you who don't know me here, I think most of you do, but if you wonder if I'm Hispanic, no, I'm Bulgarian. So why am I even talking about this? Well, this is me graduating from my high school, my beloved Institute Miguel de Cervantes in Sofia. And I can't describe how much this school has given me and influenced me as a person. This is where it all began, where my passion for Spanish language and culture was ignited. Then this is me in Cuba. This was by far the most enchanting trip I've been on. And I fell in love with the ambience and the people there. I was so obsessed that I even told my parents, "Mom and Dad, I am going to work and travel in the US. I'm gonna earn a lot of money and I'm gonna spend it to explore Cuba." Well, needless to say, this plan never escaped the group chat. In Spain, however, I have been able to explore quite a lot. I've been to Barcelona, Madrid, Sevilla, Malaga, Granada, Toledo, Segovia, etc. And throughout the years, I've been in close contact with Hispanic music, cuisine, literature, and most importantly, people. All those wonderful individuals inspire me with their personalities to think and act differently from what I'm used to. And how are they different, you're probably asking? An American study conducted in 2020 shows that most people associate their Hispanic acquaintances and friends with the words passionate, friendly, and happy. And this data is important because it goes beyond stereotypes and talks about perceptions that are based on actual interaction. And it's not just opinions, it's also in the numbers. The so-called Hispanic paradox is the finding that Hispanic Americans live 3 years longer on average than white Americans, despite having lower income, less healthcare, and higher rates of obesity and diabetes. And another finding from last year, Internations reports that 5 out of the 20 best cities in the world for expats are located in Spain. And I suspect that Hispanic culture has something to do with all these positive statistics. So today, I will share with you my 3 tips for a sweeter life, what I learned from Hispanic culture. And firstly, be passionate. Passion is this intense emotion or belief which often overpowers you. Is it a good or a bad thing? It depends. Each one of us is passionate about certain things. It seems, however, that Hispanics are passionate about pretty much everything. They're very talkative, very energetic. They love sharing their opinions and emotions. On paper, published by Juan Luis Suarez called Hispanic Baroque, a model for the study of cultural complexity in the Atlantic world, says that Baroque greatly influenced the cultural and social realities of the Hispanic world today. In this sense, we can trace back Hispanic passion to the Baroque period. And Baroque as a style is flamboyant, grandiose, ecstatic. Its imagery conveys strong emotion. It is reflected in architecture, music, sculpture, painting, even literature. It is the movement that inspired the Spanish the most. And it is, in fact, the greatest works of art in Spain are mostly Baroque, like Don Quixote or Las Meninas. So what happened is that the Spanish took their Baroque art to the New World, and with this they expanded the reach of their passion. On one side, passion can be about a person, a romantic passion, like the one we see in Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. In the book, the main character spends his whole lifetime to wait for the woman he loves. To be exact, he waited 51 years, 9 months, and 4 days until her husband died and they could finally be together. I have to admit, I have done crazy things in the name of love myself, but I have never regretted them. For example, that one time that I sent a 1,000-word love email. Yeah, it was supposed to be a love letter. Or that other time when I drove from Blagoevgrad to Sofia and back at night just to see that person for 1 hour. And let me ask you, how many of you here are scared to say I love you? Raise your hands. Don't be shy. Okay, well, I expected more of you actually, but it's a pretty difficult thing to say. I imagine that a Hispanic person in this situation would simply put their heart on the table and hope for the best. Hispanic men in particular are notoriously known for pursuing their love interest even when it seems hopeless. On the other hand, passion can be about a hobby or a professional calling, and you shouldn't ignore this passion. Great inventions and human progress have all happened due to someone's passion, uniqueness, and perseverance. So combine your passion with hard work and good intentions, and I promise you will be unstoppable. My second lesson here is to be sociable. And let me tell you a story. I was recently in Barcelona. I was on the bus, and the lady sitting across from me was holding a convertible wheelchair. As the bus took a sharp turn, the wheelchair slipped out of her hands, and I stopped it from falling with my foot. She apologized, but was also very grateful, and she started telling me her story. The man was a widow and was living with her mother, who needed this wheelchair to move around the house. And as she was talking, the man sitting next to me suddenly joined the conversation. To our surprise, he was a widower himself, and they knew each other because they were from the same neighborhood, but it wasn't until now that they finally exchanged contacts. The man asked the woman to go out for coffee sometimes, and she said yes, and then he got off the bus. After he left, she expressed how excited she was to go on a date after such a long time. And this was such a wholesome experience. In a world where 1 in 4 young people reports feeling lonely, it's so powerful to feel connected and seen. Every interaction we have has the potential to change someone's life. So cherish your relationships more than anything else. I believe that being good company is the most important quality you can develop to make people around you feel understood, relaxed, even amused. Another important reminder is to stay in touch with your relatives. And I don't mean just your immediate family, but your extended family as well. Like, for example, how often do you talk to your cousins? So nowadays there is this great emphasis on friendship, which is great, but rarely does anyone stress the importance of family. And the institution of family is essential in Hispanic culture. This is mainly due to religion, Catholicism, and pagan beliefs. Festivals like Semana Santa, Dia de los Muertos, or Las Fallas bring all the people together to the main square where they can socialize and celebrate. Paper published in the Journal of Humanistic Psychology mentions that Hispanic societies are very collectivistic. They self-actualize through their collective values, especially the ones within their families. And the author Fernando A. Ortiz describes Hispanics as highly relational people who meet their needs for safety, respect, belonging, and self-esteem by connecting with others. And this is so powerful because it's so different from the individualism that we are all accustomed to. My last piece of advice is certainly cliché, but try to be happy. One of the definitions of happy is to be favored by luck or fortune. For the most part, Hispanics are not favored by any of these. Unemployment rates were almost 12% for the last quarter of 2023 in Spain. Meanwhile, in Latin America, except for Argentina, Colombia, Mexico, and Chile, most countries are quite poor. Crime rates are high and governance is flawed. Yet, they score surprisingly high in happiness, based on the UN's World Happiness Report. How do they do it? My theory is that they pick joy over productivity. And with this, I don't mean to say that Hispanics are lazy. I just believe that they're very good at work-life balance. They set a time apart for the things that bring them joy and make them feel alive. Going back to the perception study that I mentioned, they are usually seen as good at cooking and dancing. And it's no surprise that these two domains are forming part of their habits because their culture is heavily built around food and music. And furthermore, it's scientifically proven that it brings dopamine and endorphins to your brain. And it doesn't cost a lot of money. Another factor for happiness is how much time you spend outside. And it's not just about the weather, it's about the mentality. Hispanics are people who love to spend their days outside all day long on the street. Wondering what they do? Well, they chat, they relax, they sunbathe, they even play some football. At the same time, Spain is very keen on recreation activities in the outdoors with its many cafes and parks and benches. Yet another contributor for happiness is how openly you can express your feelings. Psychologists say that national happiness may be less about what we feel and more about what we express. In this sense, Hispanic societies they rank the highest in positive emotional expression. In comparison, the countries who rank the lowest are the UK, Iceland, Japan, and Poland. So what is satisfactory about Hispanic societies is that you are not expected to keep your emotions bottled up. You can let your guard down. Then one last thing I want to mention is one of my favorite expressions in Spanish, qué rico, which translates as how rich, how good is this? They say it about food, about landscapes, about people they fancy, but to me it's more than a parasite phrase. It's a state of mind to say to yourself, how rich am I to be able to experience all of this? Life is good. The lesson here is take time to enjoy life. If you don't have it, make room for it. Consider adopting some of the activities that set Hispanics apart. And Remember that life is too short to not embrace your passion, to not be around people you like, and to not do the things that make you happy. And just like coffee, don't be overwhelmed by the bitterness. Pour some sugar in it. Thank you.